Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Lenard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable. Today's guest is a total force in the Tampa Bay investment scene. Nadia Daggett, she's the founder of Investing in Florida and one of the go-to experts when it comes to short-term and corporate rentals. She's also the host of Investors and Wine, a monthly event for investors to connect, learn, and sip a little vino while they're all talking strategies. If you're curious about maximizing your rental returns, understanding corporate rental trends, or where to buy next in Tampa Bay, you're going to love this conversation. Welcome to the podcast, Nadia.
Hey, I'm glad to have you here. This is great to be able to work with you today.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you. And finally, we've been trying to do this for 2 months or so.
I know our schedules. Yeah.
We are here now. This is awesome. And I'm happy to have you on the show. And, fellow Floridian right across I-4 corridor here, Tampa Bay is a booming market. It's always been a booming market since I've been in real estate for the past 9 years. It's been one of the number one markets, I think, in the nation for a good period of time. So this will be an interesting conversation for everybody out there listening. So tell me, what first inspired you to get into real estate and why Tampa Bay?
Well, actually, I didn't get in real estate first in Tampa Bay. I went to USF here in Florida in 2001, graduated, and I moved to Hawaii for graduate school where I started working in the lending industry. So that was where I first started getting into real estate, was on the mortgage side. Shortly after, I opened my own brokerage and met my husband and moved to Alaska, which was ridiculous, for 10 years. What was I doing? And so I was able to learn about the mortgage industry and also had my own general contracting company, like we were talking about earlier, like you're doing. And so I had construction up there and started working with investment properties. Of course, the boom happened, shattered the whole industry in 2008. And I started going on the real estate side, started working with investors and corporate housing and things like that. So that's where I first got started. So I first started on the back end, and then now I'm on the front end. So
that's awesome. Alaska, I've been there, by the way. Spent 2 weeks up there in the middle of the summer. It was awesome. We had such a good time.
2 weeks.
Beautiful country, but would not want to live there with $6 per gallon gas, and it comes from there.
Yes. Why?
What the hell?
I see it being made right there.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I see you guys pumping it. Why does it cost so much?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. Tell us about your first investment. What worked and what didn't?
Oh, that's really fun. So we first had a fourplex up in Alaska, right next to the oil field, right next to Tesoro, where we could see it. And I had it as a long-term rental, all the units at $650 a month. The people there, the tenants, were lower income. And I thought, there's a better way. And this was in 2005, 2006. And I got the oil fields there, and I realized that there's a turnover. They have people coming in every quarter, and they need a place to stay. And they're staying at a bar. Right above the bar, they have hotels. They're getting drunk every night. They don't have a kitchen. So I said, okay, I'm going to furnish these, and I'm going to put it out there for $2,000 a month each unit. And boom, there it was. Now I had my first corporate rentals in Alaska, and it was a fast turnover. It had a high industry. I mean, a little town that didn't even have a stoplight. It was full all the time because of the oil industry. And so when I brought it back down here to Florida, where there's plenty of stoplights and a lot of traffic, it is always full because we have so many people to fill these corporate rentals. You have oil fields, you have insurance claims, you have everything else. So that's what first got me into to owning my first investment property and then building from there.
I really like how you switched from long terms to corporate. I should probably consider doing that too one day.
Yeah, especially on your multifamily. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a fourplex the same way. I have Section 8
Mhm.
tenants though. So I like the government check. Who
Yeah,
in the mail, or actually not in the mail. It's just wired every month on the
wired.
first. Yeah. It's like boop, money's there. Okay.
Which was great during COVID. You didn't have to worry about it. It's still coming in.
Yeah,
So it
correct.
worked in multiple different platforms. It works great. So
Yeah. I just think that, what's the highest and best use, we're talking here.
mhm.
And that's a big thing for investors, that figure out what the highest and best uses of the property. Because let's say they buy it as a long-term rental, or it was a long-term rental, they pay long-term rental price for it. But then they notice that, hey, this could be a corporate rental because it's in a fairly okay neighborhood where, close to the center or where the work is going on. So we could convert this into a corporate rental where you're going to make almost double the money,
Mhm.
because now it's monthly or weekly rentals. So
Yep.
you're almost Airbnb, which is probably the highest yielding, I think, out of all of them. I'm not sure. You probably know better than me. Is Airbnb a better yielding than corporate
Um,
rental?
the price point would be about 10% lower, but the occupancy's higher for a corporate rental. So really it's compared, if not higher, for a midterm corporate rental.
Okay, that's good information, guys. Corporate rentals
Yeah.
the way to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Convert your Airbnbs to corporate rentals.
And you're into stocks, so it's
Yeah.
similar to a more conservative GE stock versus an Airbnb, which is more like penny stocks, or daily stocks.
Yeah, got you, got
So,
you.
so
Less
you feel more
volatility.
comfortable. Yeah, less
Yeah,
volatility.
yeah, yeah. As long as you have the corporations that will rent it from you, which maybe you could talk about a little bit in a
Absolutely.
few questions. What makes Tampa Bay such a powerful market for short term and corporate rentals?
Well, in Tampa Bay, you just have everything. You have every different atmosphere you could get, every different tenant that you could get for the corporate rentals. Because you have, just like I was saying, the oil fields, you have construction that's booming here. So all those people that are building, you have people moving here from other countries that can't really rent and put utilities in their own name because they don't have a social security card. So that makes it difficult. So they have to stay in hotels or they could stay with us. We have all the sports agents. I work with a lot of those. So we have spring training, all the different athletes, lightning, hockey, every team there. But then now we had the big problem that happened this year, the flooding. And so you have all of these people displaced while their property is being rehabbed, and insurance companies are paying for the places for them to stay, and they're staying for 3 6 months, and it's fully furnished, all utilities, so they don't have to worry about that, and they get to stay in the neighborhoods where their house is, so their kids can still be in the same zip code for schools, things like that. That is just booming. So for the next 2 years, even though it's a sad situation, the corporate rentals are going to be they're 100% occupancy right now.
Okay, that's really good. Any hidden gem neighborhoods you'd tip off savvy investors to look into?
Absolutely. I would say, what I always say is you kind of have that circle around Tampa Bay. And
Yeah.
right as you get to that outer layer of Tampa Bay, you have all these properties that are really low priced in the 100 still 200, right in that price range, because they're still growing in that area. Buy those properties because those are great corporate rentals. It's right next to Tampa. You have all those tenants that'll fill it. It's not the best neighborhood to grow a family, but it's great for people that are in a construction company just putting their employees in. So those are great investments. You can buy them for, say, I had a few that bought for 100, 200,000, and they're renting them for 4,800 right now. So you're yielding your cash on cash return is huge. I've seen up to 50% on cash on cash return. So it's really good in that neighborhood. And of course, Pinellas County right now, because of the displacement, you're going to have 100% occupancy.
It's awesome. That's great. Great information there.
Yeah.
um, so that is where the best places are to buy and purchase corporate rentals. What's the difference between nightly rentals and corporate rentals?
So the biggest difference between a nightly rental is that you have, people, the tenants for a nightly rental are people coming down visiting family or parties, or they're coming to watch a concert and they're going to trash your place.
Yeah.
and they're gonna leave. It looks like a crime scene. I love the cleaners after we have some of those, and they're like, "How did that happen?" But then on the midterm corporate rentals, those are tenants that are coming in, they're staying, they're working in the area, they own a property somewhere else, so they're going to take care of your property. Usually I have the company credit card, so if anything's broken or stolen, or which we never had stolen, but if anything's missing, we have the ability to bring that back. The biggest thing I would say between the two, though, is the occupancy rate. So when you're having nightly rentals, they're usually renting from, say, Friday to Monday or Thursday to Monday, and the rest is vacant. So if you have the midterm rentals, we're renting them for 1 month to, say, 6 months. I've had one that's been in there for 9 months, and they keep extending because the job keeps extending. And so we have those long-term tenants, which is 100% occupancy.
Okay. So who are the typical tenants for corporate rentals? Are they more stable or profitable, like CEOs or like their assistants, or tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the name corporate rental, a lot of people think that they're just executives, and I don't really want to bring it to that. There's a few different areas we look for. Is that we do have the journeymen that are the executives, like you're saying, but we also have the insurance claims. So people that are just typical homeowners like us, but their house is being worked on. We have sports athletes, traveling nurses, which everybody knows the traveling nurses. And we have snowbirds. That's one of our bigger ones too, of course, in Florida. So that's always filled. And the way I like to look at it is the tenants are kind of almost quarterly. So in the wintertime, I have the snowbirds. In the springtime, I have the sports agents. And then in the going into fall, we have the hurricanes. So there's the insurance claims and all the rain or roof problems that happen. So the insurance claim until the fall, and that gets us right up until December again. Then we're back into snowbirds. So we kind of have that cycle with the corporate rentals.
That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. And how do you find these corporations for your rentals?
So the corporations, like you were saying, I've been working with corporations since early 2000, and so I've built relationships with Moffitt Cancer Center or Tesoro, many different places that we built relationships with that we keep in good contact with. And one thing we try to do with the midterm rentals is make sure that we have everything the same. We're like a Starbucks. So you come in, you have your welcome packet, you know what to expect. And so no matter where they place their people, like Mosaic, if they have a turnover, they know that they go here. This is where the Wi-Fi is. They know everything. If you go to another short-term rental and now it's like, oh, this one doesn't have hot water. You ever had that? So you have like those different aspects. We try to make them be all the same, so we keep those clients coming back.
But how do you find them?
Well, that's been over time. So how to find them? There are platforms. So of course you have the corporate housing platform, but that's a little rough. You have the short-term rental platforms that you can still pull these clients from, but mainly from us, it's from constant contact with them, return customers, and then also our relationships with sports athletes. You just grow those relationships. But we are advertised everywhere. And just like us, what's nice about it is we put it on MLS. And so we're also getting all the people that are looking to buy or sell. And so now they sold a home, they have no place to stay, they can stay with us. So we have just an immense amount of places that we advertise to pull it in. But I would say 50% or more of our business comes from return clients.
And you just basically put it in the description that corporate rentals welcome, et cetera, et cetera. So when they look for it, they can find that that's, you're open to that. That's a good idea of how to bring them in. Would you say that email blasting them or hard letter sending to the corporations in the area, like, look, I have a corporate rental. If you guys need anything, here's a packet. This is how it looks like, et cetera, et cetera. Would that be a good route of trying to find corporations as well? Did you do that in the early stages, or it just like, I like informed into it and then, oh, now we are a corporate rental place?
Yeah, actually where we first advertised was at our local post office, just putting a flyer, which was right next to Tesoro. So all the employees would see it, they would come in. So over time though, yeah, meeting with the specific people in the executives, the ones that actually house the people, those are the ones you need to talk to. So if somebody's looking to do this for their own property, it's going in there and not just throwing it at the corporations, but finding out who you need to speak to in each corporation and growing a relationship with them. Because if you fail one time, you're probably not going to get them back. But you just keep growing those relationships with them in the same way you do. And for us, we have a packet, and every time we pick up a new property or one's vacant, we send it out to them.
And are these mostly single families or multifamilies, or because in my area, most of the multifamilies are not in a nicer part of the town, you know, and then you could get single families, but they're like $300,000-$400,000, you know, where it's nice part of town where you'd want to live as a CEO, you know? So that's the starting price, you know? So what's like a good median? Because you said you could pick up houses for 100, or like doors, I guess it was door price. So what's a good median that you could start or launch like a corporate business with?
Well, there's two different strategies. One is, like you're saying, the C or D side of the business, and the C or D properties usually are corporations like Tesoro just throwing in their employees. They're coming boots in the ground. Don't leave a rug because they're gonna mess their. And how many beds? Just put as many beds as you can in there, because otherwise they're gonna have to pay for a hotel for their employees. Doesn't have to be in the best neighborhood, but kind of clean up your neighborhood. So those are like the CD properties, and those are still high as long as you have a good bed count. So say you have a fourplex and it's a 3-bedroom, but and another little room that you would never use, put a bed in there, and those are the CD properties. But if you have when you start growing up into the B and A's, and you have a higher income, so you take that 3-bedroom, that would be for employees, you're looking at like $3,800, $4,000 a month. But if you can take that same property in a nice area with a pool by the beach, you're looking at $8,000, $9,000 a month.
Wow, that's a big difference there.
Yeah.
And you're talking about maybe twice the price on property, so you're making more than twice the income.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So it's kind of worth going higher end if you can afford it, as long as then it has to pencil out, of course, everybody.
Yeah, like you said, it's a higher risk too, because say you have that month off, you still have to pay that mortgage, so it's like, oof. But those higher income properties, we have a few. There's one that we rent out for about $8,000 right here in Tampa, not even near the beach, just has a pool, 3-bedroom, but it just has nice 3-panel door, glass windows. It's semi-luxury. We've had athletes in there. We've had Moffitt Cancer Center in there. We've had a bunch of different people. It has been 100% occupied for 2 years.
Nice.
And $1,000 a month. And I believe she bought it in the $350,000 range.
That's a good value. Good return on investment. Whoa, what is it? 25 cap?
Yeah. No, it's over that. Absolutely. Yeah, I have another property down in Gulfport, and I put it out there for $11,000 a month, and it's a 4-bed, beautiful house. And then after the flood happened, oh my goodness, he repaired the floors, is ready to go. I had people banging on the door, please let me in. I mean, it's sad for the situation, but also, people
for
want
that price.
Luxury. Yeah.
11,000, please let me in. I'm like, holy cow.
Right.
I think I underpriced this property,
But they are used to that standard. These are people that live in luxury. They're used to that standard. And if they need a place for insurance wise, here it is. So.
They'll cover that. Yeah. Wow.
Exactly.
Super awesome information. I've always wanted to, I've been dabbling around with the thought about a corporate rental, but most of our properties are in HOAs. And I'm like, okay, we can't really do anything in an HOA. Yeah. It's tough. So you have to find a property outside the HOA. My fourplex is in sort of the hood. So I'm like, I can't turn this into an Airbnb. They'll just be bad reviews.
Yeah.
But corporate rental, what are they going to do? They're not going to review me because it's not like posted on Airbnb. So that could work, and it's there's 2 2-1s and 2 1-1s, which you could stick 2 beds in a 1-1, and you could stick 4 beds in a 2-1, and you could have pretty much, what is that, 4, 8, 10, 12 people. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm currently yielding $5,000 a month on that. So if I could double that to 10, that would be like, oh my God, pay off the mortgage in like a heartbeat.
Yeah, exactly. Move to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Save up in 2 months, you could buy another one.
Exactly. Yeah, you can. And making the properties, and like you're saying, it's not in the best area. you would just put it towards the employees. And Volusia, there's some great stuff happening over there. You're close to a lot of different industries.
Oh, we got the largest Amazon warehouse now. I think Boeing is
Oh,
coming to town.
yeah.
Got the two hospitals, like huge hospitals, for traveling nurses. We got the racetrack. We got, I mean, I think Trader Joe's is coming to town. We just opened a Costco. So,
All of those, yeah.
exactly. It's so centralized on the East Coast. The I-4 corridor starts from here. You got 95 going north to south. That's why Amazon probably picked it. We have an international airport. I mean, we don't have a lot of flights coming in, but we have one. So, as we grow, that could become something as well. I mean, Trump landed a few times already here, started NASCAR, the season. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you could land, what is it called? The Air Force One, then you
Yeah,
could land a jumbo, you know,
exactly.
which means that gives it a big enough. I mean, we have Embry-Riddle, we have Daytona State,
Yeah.
we have what is it called? Bethune Cookman.
hmm
We got the chiropractor school. It's just insane what's going on around here in education and all the other things too. Uh,
Yeah.
but we still, like, I mean, take a walk in town and you'll be like surprised that we're not like an amazing looking town. It's like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Like we have all this amazing industries coming in here, and then and then you take a walk downtown and you're like, why am I walking over bums here sometimes?
Well,
Incredible.
and you brought up a neat thing because you brought up like Embry Riddle. A neat strategy in corporate rentals is actually taking a property and kind of moving it towards that set. So like Embry Riddle, you have a lot of college kids that are getting paid from their parents are paying half, some scholarship, and they're just getting a house. What if you were to kind of specify for them now your interior is a little bit more airplane, you got you have a computer there that can do that's and the Wi-Fi set up so they can do different things. You kind of move that decor to be to them.
Yeah.
You would be you'd have tenants constantly. It'd only be summer you would be vacant.
Well, they usually sign. I did a few rentals for every little students for some of my
Mhm.
clients, and they rented for the whole year. It's a 12-month lease, no
Oh yeah.
matter what. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just, hey, there's three of you guys. I want. So my guy was not obnoxious or anything. He didn't want like 1,000 a head. Like the rent price is 2,200. That's what I'm going to ask for.
Yeah.
So 3-bedroom house, 2,200, and that's what he asked for. And I said, well, you're putting three students in here. It could be 1,000 a person. And he's like, nah, I don't need that. He's a doctor. So he's like, I just want it rented constantly. I don't care about anything else. If it's nice people, I love that. That's just, have him stay for 4 years. I'm good.
Yeah. There's
you know?
consistency. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But definitely I've been thinking about that too. Cause I have my fourplex is like literally walking distance from Bethune Cookman.
Uh-huh.
So it could be a student housing for that. And we thought about it with my wife, but we're like, how are we gonna get them to rent our house or rent our fourplex, Because it doesn't last more than a week or two on the market when I put it up. And I
Yeah.
get tenants all the time.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't sit on the market because of the neighborhood. I price it like fairly. I price it as what the Section 8 would pay for it in max. That's what we're asking for in rent. And because of that, the Section 8 tenants hit me up, and then regular tenants hit me up, and it's like always off the market.
Yeah.
Don't even have time to advertise to students.
Yeah, it goes too quick. But that means you could probably be increasing your,
Yes.
4 or 5 thousand a month and making it more specific and luxury to them. And even though it's just maybe not the best area, but if it's safe, that's the biggest thing. Just
Yeah.
clean it up. So.
I've been there at night, been there during the day. It's not as bad as people say it is. Locals
Yeah.
are like, oh, it's not a nice area. I'm like, I get it. Have you lived in the Overtown in Miami? I have.
Yes.
That's not a nice area.
Exactly.
Like you would literally get shot on the street there.
Yeah.
Here you get a bicyclist maybe running into you. Like, come on. There's
Exactly.
bad area and then there's a bad area.
Yes.
If you
Yep.
put it that. So let's start a conversation into the spotlight. Let's talk about Investors in Wine. What inspired it and what's it like?
Well, what inspired it? Well, I've been with a bunch of networking groups before, and I opened one downtown before, and I liked the idea, but I really wanted the idea of I really like the idea of bringing our networking group, our seat specific networking group, our the best in the mortgage, the best in title, the best, and get them all together. And then after our meeting, let's all get together and have some wine and bring our investors in and meet the team. And so that's kind of where we started from. I had a wine import company in Alaska for a long time. So I love wine. And I thought, why don't I just combine the two? Because I miss learning about wine as well. So we had a wine distributor come in and talk about it a little bit. And then we talk about investing. So it's taking both of my favorite things and putting them together. Because why not? And if you're going to invest, you need to really have a glass of wine to be able to calm your nerves before you buy. So I just thought it would be a perfect idea. And it's turned out to be amazing. We've had like this week, this Tuesday, we have a 1031 exchange lawyer coming in, and he's going to be talking about what's new in that industry, what you can do, how you can invest and save the money. So he's going to be talking. We also have, like I was talking about, an intern coming in from UT, and she's going to be talking about marketing and kind of how that works in that age group. So that's going to be kind of neat. And just kind of growing everybody as a team, so that as a new investor, I remember when I was younger, I was like, I would love to have investment properties, but I don't know how to get started. How do I buy this property and I can't even get it appraised? And so taking this whole team together, that they can ask questions, and then maybe they don't have a contractor or title, insurance, mortgage. They're all right here, and they can answer all your questions that you have, and allow people to learn about investing and growing their portfolio in general. So
That is a great idea. I think we should have that. That we talked about before we went on air, but we should have that in every town. I think it would be
yes,
an amazing thing. You could run the whole show.
yeah, I'm telling you. So when are you doing yours?
Yeah, I should do mine. I really
Yes,
should do one. I will commit. We have to come though for the first one because it's your
deal.
branding. So we're gonna invite you as the author and creator of it. Maybe you
Yeah.
should copyright it.
Yeah, get everybody together, and it's great because it opens up people to just talk and just, I hate those networking meetings that you have those little speeches, and that's great, that's a networking inside, but get everybody together and get everybody as a group to really talk. And so we have a topic. We've had a few different topics. One last week was Elevate Florida, which was really neat, how the government's paying 75% for these homes to be elevated in the flood zones, actually everywhere. And so bringing up topics that normally they wouldn't get from anywhere else. And so making sure that they know what's happening, make sure they know what they can do with their properties. So just gets everybody together and just gets talking. So
Hey, just a heads up, I got my pylon training yesterday, so I am going to
not
be certified soon to do pylons. So lift your Florida up.
yeah,
I mean, it's
man.
just the thing. Like, think about this: lifting a house up is not an easy feat. It could cost you hundreds of $1,000s. I
Yes.
got this amazing training with this amazing tool that will cut that down much further, in price. And I'm like, this is what we gotta advertise, for the people. Like, I have people that are afraid to put their house on the market because it flooded for the second time here in Port Orange, where I live, and they're like, I just don't know if I should put it on the market. What if we don't get, it's worth this much, and like I ran the numbers for them. It's like, this is what it should sell for. Now, is
Yeah.
it going to sell for this because it flooded twice? Maybe not, And then, but Lance, it would cost us so much money to elevate our house. Yes, the government will pitch in 75%, but 25% is still
It's a lot. Yeah.
$25,000 from a $100,000 job,
Yeah.
and that's just a lot of money for a lot of people,
Exactly.
So figuring out how to get it even lower so that number that they have to come out of pocket would be less and more
Exactly.
affordable. When they look at it and like, oh, 5, 10, I could probably come up with that to elevate my house. 25, that's hard. That's my half a year's salary, like that's a big chunk. So,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm trying to figure out, how we could do it for less money so they could get a service that would help them get this rolling again.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So tell me about the pylons. So you lift it and you put it in, the pylons go under, right?
Yes. So basically, you dig holes around the edges, about 4 to 6 feet from each other, around the base of the house, up until the bottom of the slab. Okay. And once you reach the bottom of the slab, you dig it a little deeper, and about, I'd say about 2 feet wide holes, so it's not big. It's not super intrusive. And then the halo goes down. It screws into the ground.
Yeah.
And they have a patented technology. You slide it on, and it's like a tray that you twist underneath the
Huh.
house, and then you put in a piece on the top, and you jack it up.
Yeah.
It lifts up the home. It
Oh my
just
goodness, that's genius.
it is. It is. It is. It is. I know it's probably it's mostly for fixing foundations. I'm sure it would work for this too. Just
Yeah.
have to do it all around the house,
Hmm.
and then you cut it and you dig in the ground, and it's not invasive at all. It's not like going to be banging there for days and days and days with a
Yeah.
massive hammer. It has really small, footprint,
Yeah.
uh, and it's environmentally friendly too.
I love it. Yeah.
Now, the only thing that you could run into is, you got to cut your water lines and then readjust that after it's lifted up, and then bring in sand or dirt or whatever you need to fill in to get it, get the ground up to level of the house again.
Yeah.
So that's a question. Is like, okay, how are we going to do that if we need to lift this up 6 inches? Now the slab's going to be totally exposed,
Yeah.
because you're lifting up the slab.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm still trying to work out the kinks in this and how it can work properly, if it's even possible to do lifting up the house from around the house with the slab in the middle. But it's poured concrete with iron in it, so it's like a monolith. It should lift up without like
Yeah.
breaking in the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love that. That's a great idea. And I think so many people are trying to come up with the ideas. And I remember seeing the news report that, yeah, oh, it's great. We're going to elevate 75% all this stuff. And then the cost to do it was insane. More than a half. I was like,
Yes, sometimes it costs more than the house itself to build, and I'm
yeah,
like, that's what these ladies were saying. Like, my house is worth 300,000, and if it costs me $150,000, I could rebuild my house for $150,000 basically, because it's like
yeah,
it was like 1,300 square foot house. I'm like, what is it? 120, 140 to build, plus fees for your contractor. You're
yeah,
almost at a brand new house with 10-foot ceilings instead of your 8-foot ceiling old house.
exactly.
Yeah, what I'm saying, like, so
Yeah.
it's not really worth for a lot of people to do it
Hmm.
unless it's affordable.
Exactly. Exactly. We got to be able to figure this out here
Yeah,
in Florida.
yeah, and I mean, this could be a really good bit gig for the
I
next
like,
5 to 10 years.
well, you
Because
got to keep me in the loop in that because we can use that over here. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll be doing it all around Florida.
very
So
good.
I think we have a job coming up on St. Pete Beach, so we might be able to meet and hang out.
Absolutely. You got to come to the Investors in Wine.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Love
I'll bring my partner, and we'll hang out with you guys and
it.
talk a little bit about what we do, and that could help all your investors.
Love it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. So, how was building a community? How did that help you shape your brand and business?
So building the community, as in
As in the investors in wine, how did that help and shape your brand and the business?
oh, gotcha. Yes. So that made our team. It really brought everybody together because if we have a team, the mortgage, the title, and all the seats, we see everybody once a month. We're all together. We know we can depend on each other. So it's a lot different than if I'm out there and because we have about 15 agents under our brokerage here. And if they can't depend on the mortgage company or the title or insurance, and it takes them a week to reply, we just don't get the job done. So having a team behind us is what we wanted to have for our brokerage. So everybody that are seat specific members of this group, we feel solid that we can contact them. They know what we want and they put us as a priority. So having this networking group with our brokerage in combination with our brokerage is huge because our clients are able to see that we're getting the job done and the people that we recommend, they're part of our team and they're going to answer the phone because that's a
Yeah,
huge thing. And we have contractors that are not going to steal stuff off the job site. We have the people and the connections to make the project work, and that's why we started this thing to make sure that we have everybody in place to make the project run smooth.
yeah. I mean, that is always the thing. Like, a lot of people, when I pitch my business as a real estate broker associate, is like, you don't just get me, you get the trusted circle of people I've built up in the last 9 years.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. Like the value doesn't just come with one person and what I could do. Cause yeah, I could make magic happen a lot of times in a lot of deals, but that's not the case. Cause you get my title company, you get my lender, you get my inspector, you get my, handyman, you get my plumber, you get my electrician, you get my GC,
Exactly.
or I am the GC now, but yeah, at one point, that's all that builds up. And you're like just making sure anything you need, I'm a one-stop shop. I'm the mayor.
Yeah.
Call me and I'll make sure you are well taken care of in whatever needs you have. You need insurance quotes, you need this, you need that, you need to upgrade something. I'm here to help you with that. You something broke, call me, like I'm here to help. You don't, you could go out on your own and test it, but I have the proven people already, so
Yeah. And just like you're saying, you're bringing it to your clients. Well, here once a month I bring my clients to them, so they all get to meet them and they get to know them, and we build that family before we even get started on the project.
yeah.
Everybody knows who they're working with, so that's why I really like the group, because we're growing that base, that group that's going to make the process go smooth. And they know face to face, like we were talking about earlier, that you got to talk face to face, shake some hands now. That actually goes a long way still, by shaking some hands and getting everybody together to make those projects work.
And also, I'm just thinking another aspect of your real estate business and your 15 agents, that you bring in all these investors. Not all of them are licensed, and not all of them want to find properties and deal with properties and broker deals. A lot of them just want to flip, or a lot of them just
Right.
want to, buy and hold, but they need some renovations. They don't want to deal with the contractual things of the thing, except for signing and then closing.
Exactly.
So that brings you another avenue of business as a broker.
Mm-hmm.
So other agents that are listening, guess what? This is another way that you could build a relationship with investors and have them give them value. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
you're inviting people that give them value, and they get to know each other too. And you can help those investors grow by finding the properties, or they find the property to tell, hey, Lance, can you write up an offer on this one?
Mm-hmm.
And you can negotiate, your commissions now as a buyer's agent. It's not in the MLS anymore. So guess
Yeah.
what? All these investors, they're like, yeah, I'll pay you a couple percent, 3%, whatever on a deal. Depends on what you bring me, and we can sort this out. It's built into my cost now, and a lot of investors should think like that. That
Yeah.
hey, what I'm going to pay the commissions for my agent, and it's going to be built into my cost.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
our job as brokers to educate them on that. It's like, guys, it's not, before it was paid by the other side. Now you should be budgeting for that in your
Mm-hmm.
investment. So when you're analyzing a property, put in X amount of commission for your agent that's going to help you close the deal.
Absolutely. And we do the same thing off market properties. We already add the commission in there for them, so they have
Yeah.
it. But it brings up a good topic. Like, I mean, why have we not been paying for our own agents this whole time? It's almost like as if you were going to court and you have to pay for the plaintiff and the other side to argue against you. But the same thing what we're doing now is that you can negotiate those prices, though, that maybe the seller will pay the appraisal and
Yeah.
then inspection because they own it anyways. So negotiating that a little bit, and then having the seller, give some credits or things like that, until we can figure out a way to have financing cover the cost
The
of,
cost of your agent. Yeah,
because that's the
exactly.
struggle. Yeah.
That would be like the ultimate. It's like, hey, we could build it into your financing. House
Mm-hmm.
is worth 350. We'll give you a second loan for your agent's commission, at a whatever interest rate. So your total mortgage is going to be this much, but your first priority mortgage, prime mortgage is going to be, as you were a lender. I'm also a licensed mortgage broker, just so you know.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's another hat I wear.
Yeah, you got a lot of hats.
Yeah. But that's what you say. Like, here you go. This is your main mortgage is for $300,000, and then you have a second mortgage, which is for your commissions or whatever you had to pay your agent fees. Because a lot of people can't afford an agent. You and I know that.
Exactly.
That's the worst thing about what happened was first time home buyers. Hey, come up with $40,000 plus your agent's commissions. And like, whoa,
Exactly.
when am I going to buy my first house? When I'm 40? Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the problem. Like our age, the age for purchasing your first home has went from 18, 19, 20 from 40 years ago to 36, 35, 36, 40 now, because that's what they can afford it. They live in their moms and dads until then. because it's
Yeah.
so tough to get the money together unless you went into military. You could do a zero down VA loan, you know.
Yeah.
But getting your 10% or whatever you need plus your commissions now, et cetera, et cetera. That's a big chunk of change.
It is big. I was thinking that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac was going to come out and be able to solve this issue, but they still haven't got there, to my understanding.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna go back and forth, and then something's gonna come out because it should be the same thing as when you could buy a car and you could pay for zero down, you could drive off the lot for a $60,000 car and get a $60,000 loan. The same way it should be able to pay for the service of someone with a loan.
Exactly.
Like it's like the same thing, pretty
Yeah.
much.
You should be able to wrap it in there somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
It.
Like,
And if not, and like what I always do is I say, okay, we're going to sell it for 300,000, and that's the selling point. Let's add in the buyer's agent fee, so you're netting the same, but it's going to be $306,000.
yeah,
Just add in there.
it's okay as long as it appraises. That's the thing. The appraisal is always going to be because I had a house, just sold it. Everything shows that it's worth $298,000 at least.
Yeah.
Negotiated deal. The buyer came in 292. Okay, great. Appraisal comes in 275.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
how?
Where are you pulling your comps from? I sent him comps from 2 blocks away, sold for over what our price was, and not as renovated as our home was. And I'm like, and not as big as our. And I'm like, here's one. That's just one. I sent him 2 or 3. I know you have to pull 4 or 5 or whatever they pull, but I'm like 2, 3 is not enough to get it up to where it need to be. Like you're what are you doing? Like Zillow writing it? Like you're just pulling out comps from Zillow, like because I had to pull the comps I pulled were only in the tax records. They weren't online as in an MLS. It wasn't in because I look at it as a different, like I'm the agent, like, hey, this sold, this sold, this sold. Look at the property tax records. This sold for this much. This is a square footage. Drive by as an appraiser and look at it from the outside so you could judge what it's worth, compared to our house. But they're just going, boom, boom, drilling through properties, doing 4 or 5 a day, and they don't take the time to actually do the right job.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
And what's hard is you can go back and you discuss with them, but they really have to be in the right mood to be willing to adjust it.
Yeah.
It's there for 6 months. So you're screwed.
What advice would you give to a first-time investor in Tampa Bay or anywhere?
First-time investor, I would say there's so much properties right now, so many on the market that you're able to get. There's a lot of properties that we're finding people from out of state are looking to buy here, but it's really important to know the neighborhood because you're going to find these $100,000 like I was talking about. That could be bad or it could be really good. So you need to be with somebody that'll guide you through the process of where to buy. There's some places that just don't rent, some places that do. And I've been in the property management, the real estate side of this in Tampa Bay since 2016. So in this area, we've been covering a lot of different places on where to buy and what to do. So it's really important to get with somebody that knows the area and knows the structure, but also getting with a team like we have with Investors in Wine and knowing what you can do to buy those properties. Can you do a bridge loan? Can you do a no doc? What do you need to make that work? And not just one with a high interest rate. If you're looking for a private investor or things like that, you want to make sure that that's going to work, and always buy with the 1.1 rule. Make sure that even if you're going to do a corporate rental and it's 25-30% cash on cash return, make sure you still can work as a long-term tenant in case something happens like COVID or who knows what could happen. Make sure that every piece of your project will work for worst case scenario. And another thing too is that we're talking about short-term rentals. I always recommend, sorry, there's my phone. My watch is talking to me. But one thing that I really like is make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So you don't just have midterm rentals, have some long-term and have some midterm rentals. That way, you're going to get that income coming in.
The cash flow is key. I always say that to all my investors, guys. If it doesn't cash flow as a long-term rental, it's not worth buying.
No, yeah,
And it's not, I'm not talking about $100 cash flow. I'm talking about $400 or $500 in today's market. Because if a water heater breaks down or the AC breaks down or you need to replace a roof, that's out of your pocket. So you gotta have cash flow. Are there yeah. Are there tools or platforms you recommend for managing these properties?
Some of the tools for managing, I've gone round and round, and actually I was with a prior brokerage that really struggled doing the long term and the midterm. There's so many different platforms that do one or the other, and there's not many that do them together. So I like Monday.com. I've created a way to manage my properties long term and midterm and short term rentals, and be able to funnel through the counting, because that's the biggest part too. Is some of the platforms go directly to your bank account, and some go into the platform. So managing it through like a Monday.com platform and setting up your process through there. I love that program to manage them, to advertise the properties using, just getting out there, going to meet the people is one of the biggest things, and grow your groups that you work with, traveling nurses, things like that. But when it comes to different platforms to see if it's a good investment property, again, I kind of made up my own little structure, again with Monday.com, but I like Zilculator. I love that program to get the cash on cash return, even though it's very generic and it's more for the newer investor. But that's a great platform to be able to see if it's a good cash flowing property.
Like Rentometer?
Rentometer is really good. I'm finding Rentometer and Zillow for the rents are definitely skewed, because throwing in short-term rentals as well. So it is hard to see that.
Gotcha.
But that's a great tool. And with Zilculator, they connect with Renometer. So it'll see if it'll work.
Would AirDNA.co work for your what's it called?
Corporate rentals?
Kind of rental, yeah, corporate rentals?
Absolutely. So I use AirDNA a lot. I use AirDNA to give me the basis of what the occupancy is. However, it is a different animal. So the tenants are different. So say one property in Midtown Tampa is getting bad reviews and occupancy is low, doesn't mean a corporate rental would be, because we're looking for a different animal, different tenant.
Okay. How do you approach scaling a portfolio sustainably?
Well, I would definitely say growing the BRRRR strategy is huge.
I love the BRRRR strategy.
BRRRR strategy.
Beardy Brandon. Woo! Give him a shout out, okay? Guys, exactly. Hawaiian surfing started from nothing, came up with that BRRRR.
Just a bunch of R's. But yeah, I love that strategy. Again, the refinancing and using that strategy in different ways. Like with a corporate rental, taking the BRRRR strategy, finding properties that you can convert the garage, or buy a property that has an extra piece of land to it, so you could sell it off for the refinance process, or finding one that needs a good amount of rehab, but maybe is a little awkward as for sale, boxy maybe, but it would be a great short-term rental, corporate rental. So finding the BRRRR strategy that meets your exit strategy is really important, but definitely sustainably growing it, every other month, coming up with the next one. If you're brand new in investing and you need that money to start cash flowing, try the arbitrage and get some income flowing before you get the BRRRR strategy going. But long-term BRRRR strategy is way better than the arbitrage, of course. So
it's awesome. So that was a deal, a real deal masterclass from Nadia Daggett. If Tampa Bay wasn't on your investment radar before, it should be now. Connect with Nadia, investingflorida.com. Nadia at investingflorida.com. A phone number is going to be down the bottom. Instagram at, what's your Instagram again? Invest in Florida?
Invest in Florida, pretty much across the board in social media.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah. And don't forget, her monthly event, Investors in Wine, happens every third Tuesday. Yep. It's where real investors share real stories over a glass of wine. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with someone looking to grow their real estate game. Thank you very much for tuning in. This was the Real Estate Roundtable. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.